capes and conundrums. Did we make things too complicated? Ling asks as he scratches under the green question mark patterned hat. I don't think so. I looked over those riddles and clues. It took me about 20 minutes with communicator access to figure it all out, Santiago replies. Seeing as how the last 3 puzzles hadn't even been found on, and it seemed to be nothing but luck that found the last 2, well, he hadn't bothered putting on the Bane mask or persona yet. He considers the dark mask as it dangles in his hand. He always preferred lighter ones, his own rhino mask being relatively simple and of a brighter shade of gray. He had even considered being El Reno Blanco with an albino theme, but the gales of laughter in the locker room had pushed that one aside. How have they still not gotten it? The Riddler demands. I mean, really? Really? Great wealth I cost, great wealth I grant, deadly and tied to the heart of the planet. It took you 3 minutes, and it's been 3 hours for all of them. I know. He placates the man. It's on the roof of the Marlia building, which manufactures custom lava serpent hunting gear for a small fortune and employs nearly a full % of the entire city, costing a fortune, giving a fortune to the community, and both very deadly and tied to the main tourism industry that goes down towards the core of the world. It made sense to me at any rate. I think I may need to taunt them, Ling remarks with a sigh. Not a fan of your character? Santiago asks him. I understand that in the comics, Edward Nygma has some kind of massive complex and a compulsion to divulge information and be honest about it. So in that light, putting them all in riddles is actually a good compensation for his issues. But I don't have those issues, and working under these restrictions is just annoying. And Bane fights like an idiot. I could have easily pried Nightcry off my back or brushed her aside. But Bane flails when you get on his back, so I flailed. But Bane's still scary, even if he's like a brute. The Riddler. Don't go serial killer now. Santiago interrupts and gets a dirty look in return. There's a moment of thought before Ling pulls off the hat and gives a loud and long groan into it. I'm going to have to taunt them, damn it, Ling remarks, and Santiago chuckles. Want me as a backdrop? No, I'll be fine, Ling says. The projectors on the blimps are hijacked and start showing the image of a shadowed figure with a green hat on. They shake their head ruefully and sigh. Honestly, Dark Knight. I wasn't even trying to be subtle or clever. Clearly you've forgotten about the very city you claim to protect. No skin off my nose, though. The plan is nearly complete. If you want to even have a hope of stopping my fun, well, you won't have that either way. Not with a mind so simple. There we go. A bit of mockery goes a long way. Santiago notes as the tiny camera they set up to watch the location of the prize gets swarmed by several Batwomen and Batwomen. I still feel dirty. Ling remarks sourly, and Santiago snorts in amusement. Fair enough. Anyways, it's time to put away the soldier. Santiago states as he slips on the mask, and his posture simply changes. His presence changes, and Ling smothers the urge to step away from Bane. Soon, it will be time for a fight. Do not interfere, pequeño tanto. I understand. Ling remarks with a strain of accent similar to the vaguely manic tones of the Riddler as Bane starts pacing along the walkways above the prepared arena. With the hint given out and understood, it doesn't take too much longer for the puzzle to open the door to be brute forced. Brute forced in that a woman literally teleports past them and then unlocks the door even as Bane drops down from above and grabs her around the neck even as he lands. Para impertinente, he growls out in Spanish before hurling her across the room, just enough force so she rolls and skids a little and doesn't smash into the wall. He turns to face her, ignoring the opening of the door as the Batwomen are let in. There will be pain and the breaking of bones for that arrogance. A chunk of metal crashes into his shoulder. He ignores the first, but as several others follow and clatter to the ground, he turns and catches the next. It's a badly made batarang and thankfully has unsharpened edges. He closes his fist and he feels it crunch. He lets the shrapnel fall to the floor and takes a stance to prepare a charge. They're in uncertainty, and many of the Batwomen shuffle to the side, even one in power armor. Then one of them, oddly enough, one not in power armor, steps out. "You think you can face me?" She cracks her neck and then takes a stance. One fist on the ground and the smaller Sonier legs only half extended. She's ready to meet his charge. "Then be broken, Bat!" Bane charges, and she dives out of the way, even as the rest of the bats scatter. "Well, I suppose if you're all too cowardly to face the savage down there, you can join me up here. But I warn you, little bats, I will not go quietly." The Riddler remarks from above, even as Bane stops himself from slamming into the wall. He turns and snarls at the Batwoman who's hurling batarangs at him, and his response is to dig his fingers into the wall and rip out a chunk of brickwork to throw back. "Riddle me this, bat-twits, what's black and red and full of shrapnel?" There's a mildly amusing EEP, and she dives out of the way of the bricks and is pelted by the shrapnel from the powerfully thrown projectile. "You, if your dodging's not up to snuff, and it won't be." He finishes in a tone drenched in smug amusement. "Come now, little bat. Are you so afraid of pain?" Bane asks, with his tone dripping with bloodlust, and her eyes widen before she throws down a smoke bomb. "Pah! You hide from true battle like a coward. Do you think that this will do anything more than delay your defeat?" He rushes through where she had been but moments ago to find the space empty. He thrashes through the smoke until it clears enough for him to see there's nothing in there, as if he hadn't heard her fly up and latch onto the ceiling with her bat feet, or the whispers of the women on the walkways giving things away. Seriously, girls, this may be a show for the most part, but come on, stop sabotaging your fellows. "Do you fear me? If you do not come down, then I will rip down this whole rotting building and crush you and the hostages beneath the rubble. Fight me," he taunts. "He'll do it." The Riddler taunts. "Be silent, pequeño tonto. I need no aid from you. No, you just needed my help to actually make some money off this." The Riddler begins to taunt Bane and then is forced to dodge a brick that shatters into dust behind where his head was. "I'm taking another 5% of the post-laundered profit for that." "So, there you are," Bane growls as his gaze was drawn upwards to see the Batwoman that had been fighting him hanging from the ceiling and clearly re-evaluating things. "If your frail spine won't let you come down to me, Bat, then I will go to you." He then stomps hard and winds up for a powerful jump. But as he's just about done the wind-up, she suddenly throws a flurry of batarangs at him as he has to bat them all away, and in the cover of the sting of fragile metal bouncing off him, she drops from the ceiling and swoops, literally, onto him and tackles him to the ground. Her foot claws dig into his side and he's rolling with a dozen punches. Thankfully, the girl seems to have gotten into the spirit of things and the blows are not axiom-enhanced, meaning that he's not hurt by her. "Oh, that looks like it hurt. Care for some assistance?" Riddler asks, as he throws the Batwoman off and rises. "No, I need no help from you," Bane declares, pointing at the man in a black fury. "Need no help from me for now." The Riddler corrects and he growls at the man. That was all the opportunity this clearly more skilled and intelligent Sonier needed. She tangles his legs with a bola, and as he turns and tries not to lose his balance for real, he gets peppered with more batarangs and then is slammed in the chest by a brutal mule kick and actually knocked over without any faking on his part. More blows rain down, and as he tries to deflect, she moves fast. His left wrist is cuffed and she starts to try and fight him to get his other wrist into the cuffs. "You won't win, Bane," she grits out at him. "You are mistaken, Bat," he says before his fingers grab the venom totem on his wrist, even as she clasps close the handcuffs. Not that it matters as his body contorts. He grows in size and there's The tortured scream of metal being ripped apart as the cuffs are suddenly 20 sizes too small and far from strong enough to withstand the force of his sheer self. The bola line snaps and he stands up and up above the Batwoman, who now barely reaches his waist. He telegraphs a huge punch down at her and she rolls away. She's thrown off balance and staggers as the shockwave from the blow alone. The fight is without words from this point. She throws all 10 of her remaining batarangs, and the rush of panic clearly sharpened her focus as only 3 of them miss. 2 bounce off his head and the rest bounce off his chest. He charges and she runs, has her nerve broken. She rushes right up to the wall and he suppresses a smirk. Clever, but she clearly hasn't thought this all the way through. She doesn't have enough room to dodge and they both go through the wall and into the secondary arena. This one plays more to a Batman's strength. It has plenty of places to vanish into and columns to hide behind with rafters to use as ways to stay far out of sight. She's behind one of the pillars in moments and his seeking for her isn't successful. She's clearly intelligent enough to understand that stealth and surprise attacks are the way to go in the here and now. Operative Bernal, we're testing this woman to see how good she can be. We're supplying her with further tools, a voice says into his earpiece and he nods. He then activates the microphone for the next 10 seconds with a flick of his tongue. Good. She seemed to only have 1 smoke bomb and ran out of throwing weapons. She still freezes now and again, but she's clearly thought ahead and is acting on it. He whispers into the microphone. Then there's a slight click as it deactivates. Who? Alfred. What? He hears the Batwoman whisper from above. Yes, thank you, Alfred. That's the girl restocked then. Good. This is going to get more interesting. The next batarang slams into him hard and he actually flinches as it bounces off the side of his mask. There's a muffled explosion and the area is filled with smoke, even as a tiny little sound starts keening in his ears. That's all the warning he gets before several other batarangs slam into him from different directions, and the Batwoman slams into his back and he staggers before his feet are tied together. She jumps on him and rains blows down onto his head faster than before. He throws her off and snaps the bolas before charging in the direction he sent her. He slams through a pillar, grabs debris and throws it forward in a seeming berserk rage. He looks around and turns just in time to catch her in midair and slam her to the ground. Do you have any plan for this, Bat? That you have any way to... He begins to ask before she suddenly stops struggling. Oh. Her pulse is fast and panicked, but it doesn't seem to be a heart attack. Oh dear. The mask comes off and he deactivates the totem. One painful crunching of his body back into its natural shape later, and he pockets the Bane mask. I think this went a little too far. Control, time for medical.